there, everybody. Welcome back to the Planes, Trains, and Comic Book channel. My name's Matt, and today we're going to read Peacemaker, Disturbing the Peace #1. And before we get into that, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing, commenting, it really helps me out and lets me know what you guys want to see more of. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. All right, we got the cover here. It is a DC Black Label book, and it is by Garth Ennis, Gary Brown, and Lee Loughridge. We start off with Peacemaker, also known as Christopher Smith. He is sitting at this cemetery, and he is meeting a psychologist named Dr. Sedgwick, and she is there to do like a psych evaluation on him before he joins a certain government task force. They talk about the first kind of defining incident in his life that made him change. And that event was that when he came home one day from school, he happened to be a little bit late, or else he would have been part of this, but he found his parents and his siblings dead. It seems like his parents had committed murder-suicide and killed his siblings and then killed themselves. So little Chris goes into the foster system after that incident, and he has another bad event happen in his life. His foster parent gets murdered at a bank, and the bank robbers take his car, and who's in the back seat but Chris himself? He's still just a little boy, but I think because Chris isn't like screaming or freaking out, he's just kind of going with what they're doing. They end up not killing him, and he kind of actually becomes their mascot. But of course, this being a Peacemaker book, that doesn't end well for them. They end up being killed by the police, but Chris, of course, got out. And then as Chris grows up, he goes through high school, and at the end of that, he joins the military. And he goes through all the different types of military. He goes from the infantry to the Rangers to the Green Berets, and finally ends up at Delta Force. And this is where we kind of get to understand what the psychiatrist was really there for. She starts asking about his last mission where magically he was the only one who survived. She's actually working for the FBI, and he's figured it out. He understands that she is there to get information from him to indict himself on tape. And what she's trying to get him to confess to is basically on all his missions with all those different military teams, either the whole team or some of the team have died mysteriously. There's always some kind of team casualty, and that's very suspicious. And when he reveals that he knows that she has a wire, the FBI across the street in a van runs away, leaves her there with Peacemaker to fend for herself. And that's where I'm going to stop this issue. I don't want to spoil any more. This was a really fun issue. It was a good introduction to Peacemaker as a character for comics. I don't think this is actually a good introduction to him as a character for the TV show. It didn't have the same feel as that character. He's not as goofy or kind of outgoing as John Cena is in the show. And this just kind of feels like a totally different origin from what's in the show as well. It's kind of like Garth Ennis was like, oh, there's a TV show, you want me to write Peacemaker? All right. And then he just wrote whatever story he wanted to write. But I thought this was a fun issue. The story itself is pretty simple, and you kind of know what's going to happen in it because it's Peacemaker and it's Garth Ennis, so you know it's going to be fucked up. He's definitely not like a happy kid when he's growing up. And mainly you're just trying to see how this comic is going to be revealed, like how these events take place in what order, and what's the reveal to the character that is kind of our surrogate, who's the psychiatrist. So it works if you already know the character from the movies, or if you've never heard of him before and you're just picking up this one shot off the stand because you thought the cover was cool. You basically get a pretty fresh story because they reveal all this new backstory on the character. And there is humor in it. It's just a different type of humor than what's in the show. I thought the art in this was pretty good. It's not amazing, but there are some pages that I thought were pretty cool. So overall, I thought this book was pretty fun. It had a different feel from the TV show, but that kind of separates it as a comic. So I think they went the right way with this. And of course, Garth Ennis is going to write a super fucked up Peacemaker story anyway, so he did a good job with this. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And if you saw anything you like, definitely go pick that up at your local comic book store, and we will see you guys on the next one.